This is probably the question I get asked the most online, and I generally like to stay away from answering it. Now, I appreciate people like to see what trainers eat in a day, maybe more for meal ideas, but just for context, I'm a 6'2", 110 kilo male training and eating for performance, which isn't overly representative of my audience. So rather than showing you what I eat in a day, I'm going to talk you through some habits and some sort of overriding themes I try to stick to on a regular basis. So I generally structure my day around 4 meals. I prefer to have 4 slightly larger meals, and therefore I don't snack in between. It makes it easier for me to not eat mindlessly. And when I'm picking breakfast and lunch, I've generally got a list of about 3 to 5 things that I'll have for each of them, just so I'm limiting my options more than anything else, so I haven't got to think about food too much. And then the evening is usually a bit more varied. I try and make sure I have protein in each of those meals, and my evening meal is usually always either vegan or vegetarian. Where possible, I try and have veggies with every meal. I'll often have a smoothie in the morning made with spinach, kiwi, berries, and other fruits and veg that I have in the fridge. And I make sure I have a serving of seeds and nuts every single day. I don't like to feel like I'm being really restrictive with my diet, so I have some sort of chocolate every single day. It will often be dark chocolate, or it might be an ice cream. If I'm gonna have an ice cream, I always make sure I have things like Magnum Minis, just so they're pre-portioned and I haven't got to think about controlling my overall portion size. I try and make sure I have no more than 2 cups of coffee per day. I do that in the morning, often around a workout, and will generally have a bit of a cutoff at around about 10 AM for my caffeine intake. And one thing I'm very good at is staying hydrated with water throughout the day. And when it comes to managing total energy intake, this is why I like to stick to 4 meals and generally give myself less options per meal. That way I can stay nice and consistent with the same thing. It doesn't take up too much mental bandwidth. One thing I've really noticed working with clients is when they're constantly thinking about meal choices, it starts to become quite overwhelming. So I've taken a lot of that thought process away by being a little bit more limited with my choices. And then when I get a bit bored of what I'm eating, I bring in one new recipe rather than needing to overhaul my whole diet. Now, I'm not saying you have to do all of that, but potentially 1 or 2 of those points might be useful for you for something you can do and implement in your own diet.